What is going on, collective? Welcome back to my channel. It's your boy Adam Brown. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Okay, so today I did get a message to I did get a download to do the Iran reading or whatever, but today I don't think I'm gonna do that. I think I'm gonna do something different. I'll probably do the Iran reading later. So today I forgot to get my pen. But today, basically, I was looking. Well, of course, I was doing all my research, whatever. I've been working on this, this other book, right? So basically, today I'm gonna do the correlation of. Hang on. Today, it looks like I am going to go into connecting magic and magical properties to, what's this? Looks like astrology, right? Okay, so basically, in our universe or whatever, we have basically. We have quite a few planets and and stuff like that or whatever, but in our solar system we have about, let's say, I'll still say 9 planets, right? 9 planets. You got the sun, you got Mercury, you got Venus, you got Earth, you got the moon. Then you got what is that? Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. So you got all of these, right? All these, 1, 2, 3, 4, about 10 of them, right? So in the universe or whatever, right? So how magic work? Well, how magic is correlated to the solar system, essentially. The solar system is basically it works like this. Okay, so you got revolutions, and then you have rotation, right? You got revolution and you got rotation. Revolution. Well, let's start rotation. So basically, rotation goes from, let's say, usually it determines if a planet is in retrograde or if it's direct, right? Relative to where you are. Okay, all planetary work is relative to your current position or relative to your position. Okay, so when you have a planet that rotates, that rotation, basically it is connected to gender when it comes to gender and polarity. No, I take that back, polarity. Okay, so as it rotates, right, we have a day and we have a night cycle. The day cycle is going to be considered the positive, obviously, and then the night cycle is generally the negative, right? So what happens essentially is that with that polarity, that essentially that's how it works. That's how that infinity work on that gradient. You got day here and you got night here, right? They both lead to and from one another, right? They lead to and from one another. Now, the reason why I brought this up is because with rotation, by you having positive and negative, you also have another loop up here that comes back, comes up here and up around. Okay, so basically you have 2 infinities intertwined, right? If this is day and this is night, right, then this polarity up here is going to be positive, and then this one here is going to be negative. Okay, What this has to do with, the reason why it's like positive, negative, day and night, is because essentially what happens is as I'll put it like this. So let's say that the day is masculine energy, right? So as it rotates, as you rotate, you're gonna go up and down. Well, pretty much the day and night one is pretty much on this axis right here. So it's gonna be considered up and down, right? So let's say up here you got up, and then it comes down, and then it's right here, right? So this right here will be the day rising. This is when the sun comes up. This is when the sun is at its peak. This is gonna be when the sun is down, right? Same with, and then, you know, of course the sun rises somewhere else, and then it is, you know, it rises, and then, you know, it rises, well, it's dead here, but it rises somewhere else, and then, you know, it pretty much is just the opposite, you know, on the other side of the world or whatever, right? But you also have the night aspect, right? Like that. Okay. So essentially, if we had to break this down, it would be like this. You got two different with rotation. Basically, when the sun is at its peak, or as it approaches its peak, it's going to generate like this positive energy essentially, right? As the sun rises, and once you get to its peak, that's when it's at its height, and then it slowly starts to decline like everything else, right? And then you have the moon, right? I mean the negative energy, which pretty much will be this side right here. You got the sun, and then you got like the moon or whatever right here, right? So when you combine these together, essentially you're going to end up with something like a circle. Because if you was to put this on the like say if you was to put this on the wheel, and if you connected this, it will start at this point here. It will start here, and as it goes up, that's this height right here. And then it starts coming down. It comes back down to where it started, right here. And then it comes down here to the base, and then back up to where it started. So basically, although, you know, we have day and night or whatever, it's all cyclical. Although it is, you know, kind of like this or whatever, because, you know, you got day here, you got night here, you got the peak of day, the peak of day, and you got the peak of night, you know what I'm saying? Each have their peaks and stuff like that or whatever, right? So basically what happens here is this. When it comes to magic or whatever, and you correlate magic with the astrological aspect of it, right? How the rotation dictates both the polarity and the gender. The polarity and the polarity? No, it's just the polarity, right? If you're going to draw something in or send something out, essentially. But at the end of the day, they're all interconnected. You see what I'm saying? So basically, when it comes to correlating like magic to, like, you know, the planetary alignments, I mean not alignments, but with the planets and stuff like that, it's like when you do your when you have rotation, right? Or when you do the rotation aspect or whatever, or when you take in consideration the rotation, the reason why you have to pay attention to where you are is because where you are dictates how much positive and negative energy is there. When the energy is at its positive peak, or when it's positive, that, of course, that's high energy, right? But once it gets to like the bottom, as it's coming down to the bottom, to the negative, it releases energy. Essentially is what happens with the planets. Okay, so basically that's how the rotation works. As something go from positive to negative, positive to negative, because essentially that's what day and night is. It's switching from positive to negative, back and forth, back and forth. So if you keep switching from positive to negative, back and forth all the time, you get what? A vibration. That's what creates vibration, going from positive to negative, positive to negative. And you do that simultaneously, and that's where you get your vibration at, right? Now, revolution is connected to the energy, and this is connected to gender, okay? Now, in our solar system, we have the sun, right? And you know, most of our orbit is elliptical, right? So, and this is us right here. As we travel around, there's times where the sun has a stronger influence versus other aspects of, you know what I'm saying, as other aspects, right? Because of the rotation. Okay. Now, as the Earth comes up here, and it's like right here, because you got 4 different areas right here, right? You got 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? On this ellipse. 1, 2, 3, and 4. When it's right here, we're just gonna say that's summer. Right? Summer leads to what? The fall. Fall leads to what? The winter. And winter leads to what? The spring. Now, based on the rotation, this is going to be different, okay? Let me see here. Based on the rotation, it's going to be different for everybody, okay? Because you know you got the tilt of the Earth, you got to take that in consideration or whatever, right? But essentially, once you get to this axis right here, this is where all the energy is, right here. Because you got, let's see, as you're coming up here, right? Because this is spring. Spring, you're getting closer and closer to the sun. There's more sunlight. You know what I'm saying? There's more sunlight, and we call this a solstice, and we call these poles the equinox, right? So there's more sun. There's more sun. There's more daylight. There's more time to work with. You see what I'm saying? So with it being more sun, that's more life force energy to work with, right? And then as it leads to the fall, we are getting further away from the sun, right? Ideally. Now, as we get further away from the sun, what happens is a lot of that life force energy starts to fade, right? It starts to fade away. You know what I'm saying? Leaves start turning brown, start getting colder and colder the further we get away, which will make this a negative energy, and this will be a positive. Now, everything comes, and then after fall, you got the winter, right? Which will be what, like almost like a double negative, but because the tilt or whatever of the Earth, essentially, right? The tilt of the Earth. Since we're pointing away, we're close to the sun, but we're pointing away from it, which means that technically it would be a positive because of how close we are. But it's but it also comes off as a negative because we're facing away from the sun. You see what I'm saying? And you know, so there's definitely energy in that too, right? So as you come down here to the winter and it comes back to the spring, this is also negative energy because all that energy from the winter is dissipating, okay? And it's rising back again. So basically, in nature, you got 4 energies. You got energy that rise, you got energy that rests, you got energy that you got energy that rises up, energy that rests, energy that is fading or dying. We'll say dying, or yeah, I say fading. And then you got energy that detriments. Although that's what winter is, okay? So basically, we are close to the sun. We are getting positive energy, but that positive energy is detrimented by the rotation. There's a detrimentation, okay? So that's why you have rise, rest, fading, and then detrimentation essentially is what this is. Now you see that with all the planets, okay, relative to all the planets. Now when it comes to like magic and spell work and why this is, you know, all interconnected, right? Because essentially what happens is you get people who do I guess the best thing I can do is, let's say, lunar work, right? Lunar work. And you got the crescent moon, you got the new moon, you got the old moon, you got all of that, whatever, right? So what happens is you get people who, well, I'm not going to say get people, but what happens is with this work, a lot of it's easy to misinterpret what to call in and when, okay, especially if you're going to do healing work, right? So what happens here is, let's say this is wait, let's get back to our ellipse, right? Let's get back to our ellipse. Now with our ellipse, you got like I say, you got your I don't know why I did that. Okay, I'm just gonna do an ellipse like this. There we go. You got your sun in the middle. Got that there, you got that there, whatever, right? You got all of that together, right? Okay, so we're getting ready to do some, let's say, lunar work, right? We're getting ready to do some moon work because we're gonna do some healing, right? We're gonna do some deep-seated healing. That's what we're gonna do here. We're gonna do something on a subconscious level, right? Subconscious healing. That's what we're gonna do. Matter of fact, we're gonna heal our childhood wound. Okay. Now, like I said, you got fall up here. You got what is this? The summer. You got the winter, and you got spring, right? So we are going to heal something in the subconscious, okay? We are going to heal something like, let's say, identity, right? Say that we have an identity wound, right? We like to pretend to be something we're not to fit in. Whatever, right? So basically, because this is a part of identity, that we already know that that's connected to what? Aries. Yeah, connected to Aries, right? Now that we know that this is connected to Aries, this is what we're gonna do. With Aries, there are let's see here, just 1 second here, because I just looked at it. Okay. So it's connected to Aries, and we're going to do some lunar work, right? So the moon is in randomly Leo. Let's say the moon is in Leo. Matter of fact, let's say we got Leo and we got Pisces. Okay. The moon is in Leo and the moon is in Pisces, right? And we are in, let's say, we're going to say that we're just going to do summer. You know, it's July, just like now, July, right? Summer, right? July. Okay, so when it comes to this work or whatever, right? Especially when we're trying to heal on a deep rooted level, right? This summer here, it's already full of positive energy. What is this positive energy gonna do? Because it's in, let's say July, and we're gonna say, let's say Cancer season like now, right? What it does is it highlights everything that is connected to Cancer, which is in what? The 4th house. That means everything with family, emotions, things like that. Emotions are already going to be high. Everything's going to be emotional. Mother wounds, wounds that is connected to the mother, motherhood, mothers, that feminine energy, everything connected to feminine energy, right? Right? That's it right there, right? 4th house. Okay. The moon may not be in that 4th house, okay? But, you know, we're just going to say that the moon is in, what did we say the moon was going to be? We said first we're going to say the moon is in Leo, okay? What does Leo govern? Leo is more of a creative energy, right? That's creativity. That's activity. That's being on the front stage, okay, right? That's being out in the open. That's that father energy, right? You know what I'm saying? Okay. Now this is how, well, I'll put it like this. This is how I combine it. It's up to you to use what works best for you. Okay? Because I'm not, by no means, I'm not gonna tell you like, you know, you have to do it like this. That's not what this is about. This is just a perspective. Okay? So basically what happens here is that by you having fire and a positive energy, it gives you the ability to take something from this Leo energy trait and transfer it to the 4th house to heal whatever is going on with that Aries, in terms of that Aryan energy, which has to do with that identity, right? And we're just going to eliminate Aries altogether when it comes to the identity aspect, because I didn't use, you know, just to keep it simple. You got Leo, you got that Leo moon, right? That Leo moon. So essentially with that Leo moon, and let's say you got identity problems, you're pretending to be somebody you're not, or you feel like you have to be somebody to fit in order to get accepted, kind of vibe, right? You getting led astray by people who don't want to help, you know, this, that, whatever, right? Right? Well, look at this. You take that Leo energy, and let's say it is a crescent moon, a moon that is waxing, a moon that is waning, a moon that is full, and a moon that is new. You got 4 different healing types here, 4 different ways to do this healing work. With the waxing moon, that is drawing in the energy, you're drawing that energy in. Essentially what you want to do is you're going to do something like, you're going to pretty much, your work is going to be surrounded around, it's going to be surrounded around your courage, because Leo is associated most with like that fire, that strength. And basically this work is going to be about courage, the courage to see yourself for who you are. That's all it takes. It don't have to be nothing extra like I want to get rid of it. No, you don't do that. A lot of people think that with magic and spell work and stuff like that, that you do all what you got to do at one time and that's it. And then you know what I'm saying? That's why people have to keep repeating spell work. You don't want to start at that. You want to start like this. Courage. Courage to see yourself. Courage, bravery, whatever it takes just for you to get acquainted with yourself. Because apparently when we face the unknown, what we need most is courage. What we need most is strength. What we need most is ourselves. And you can't help yourself if you're afraid to see yourself. So there you go. Next, you have the waning, and it's Leo, right? This is what you want to remove. So essentially the aspect of the waning moon, and it's summer, that's a lot of positive energy. What you want to remove is basically, let's see here. It has to do with what you're going to release. This is something you're going to release, okay? You're going to release that grandiose, is it like a grandiose idea of others? And this will be something where you are releasing thinking that people are better than you, thinking that you can't, thinking that you need help to accomplish stuff, thinking that you are, it's basically that helpless mentality kind of vibe, right? That's what you take away. Now, when the moon is full and when the moon is new, those are 2 different things. When the moon is full, basically with this Leo energy, what you want to call in is, yeah, because it's going to be full, and basically after it's full, that it's almost like you are going to be in that energy of banishing, releasing, getting rid of, you know, just flushing, right? And with that, by it being at the full moon, you want it to gradually flush. You want it to gradually flush. You don't, if you're working with God or higher energy, we don't do what those other people do. All those other people, they want stuff now. We don't do that. You know what I'm saying? We let it be gradual. So the gradual energy here of what you're releasing is your attachment to, basically you're going to release the attachment to needing to be liked, essentially, or the attachment to, yeah, having that need. It's a desire, having that desire to be liked or fitting in. And the reason why you want to get rid of, you know, and this is just figuratively speaking, I'm not saying you need to be isolated and don't deal with anybody, but it's like this. When you go out of your way to fit in with somebody, what happens is, you put all of your power in their hands. So when they feel good, they make you feel good. When they don't feel so good, they'll go out of their way to try to make you ruin your day, because you're a part of the group. That's why I'm solo now. That's why I'm solo. That's why I don't mess with nobody. I don't talk to nobody. I don't affiliate with nobody. Flat out. And if I do affiliate with somebody, it's gonna be with my, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, once, you know, whoever I'm dating or whatever, and that's it. All that other shit, I don't fuck with you. And, you know, don't make me hurt your feelings by making it known that I don't fuck with you. Because I'll do that. I'll make sure it's known that I don't fuck with you. And when I do that, a motherfucker start feeling some type of way. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that's why, you know, with this new moon energy and Leo, essentially when it comes to the identity, it's time to repair something. There's something deep-rooted that needs to be repaired. So basically, in one aspect, you're asking for understanding. And the next, you are releasing that grandiose idea of others, thinking that other people are better than, you know, it's that mind state, right? The next, you are, you know, you're gradually releasing the desire to be attached to others. And then the new moon energy here is getting acquainted with yourself. You're calling in the energy of getting to know yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because you can't heal yourself if you don't know yourself. That's just like if you went to the doctor right now and the doctor didn't ask you what was wrong and just start working on you. 9 times out of 10, you're gonna fix all the wrong problems. He might fix some stuff. He might make some stuff worse. He might give you some stuff, but at the end of the day, he may not. It may take him longer to fix what you need fixed. You see what I'm saying? So essentially, when you connect magic with astrological, that's why revolution and rotation matters. That rotation is your vibration, it's your energy. Okay? Because doing these one by one, true, they'll work, right? But for those of you who are looking for accelerated progress, these are the 4 right here. Because it creates oscillation. You got what you're doing, and like on the new moon, you're calling in the energy that you want. Well, I would start on the full moon. I would start there because that's where the major thing is, and you get rid of stuff. As you empty yourself, it allows for the universe to fill you. You see what I'm saying? But you have to empty yourself of whatever it is. You have to empty yourself of something in order to grasp onto something new. That's the rule of everything in the universe. We see that in everything. We see everything. We see that in plants. Plants have to release oxygen in order to draw in the sunlight. I mean, yeah. No, it has to release oxygen in order to absorb the carbon dioxide. You see what I'm saying? In order to eat, you have to use the restroom. You see what I'm saying? In order for your blood to flow the way that it flows, it has to oxygenate and deoxygenate. You see what I'm saying? That's everything. Everything. So essentially right here, what happens is that you want to start at the full moon. With that full moon, you put that intention out there that you're going to release the attachment of, the desires to be liked or whatever it is, right? You're going to release that. That's what we're going to release. That's the overall thing right there, right? After that, as the moon is waning, if you want to do your work, release work over and over and over again, but as the moon is waning, what you're going to do is you're going to release thinking that other people are better than you. Because I'm not going to say that's what everybody's problem is, but sometimes people believe that other people are in a better position than them, are greater than them, are above them, are this or that. But in reality, it's not true. It's not true. We all bring something to the table. In my eyes, we're all equal. We're all equal. You know what I'm saying? But, you got other people with different opinions. So as you're waning, as it wanes away, that's what you're going to be releasing. You're going to be getting rid of that energy. You're going to dump it out, dump as much as you can. You don't have to do it every single day, but you have 14, this is the 28-day cycle, right? I think 28 days. So over the course of the 28 days, you could just break this up. You could do 7-7-7-7 if you want to do it like that. But essentially what happens here is that as you just start, just releasing it little by little by little by little by waning. You know what I'm saying? And then after you do that, now you're going to get to the new moon, right? Because now it's time to fill yourself. You have to call in the energy that you want to fill the space of what you released. And that will be calling in the energy of, of you being, whatever. I forgot what it was because I didn't write it all the way down. It was a lot, but you're going to call in the energy of being acquainted with yourself, essentially, right? Or being comfortable enough to get to know yourself, honestly. Because in reality, it's a lot of people that run from themselves because there's a lot of demons and stuff like that, a lot of stuff from their past that haunt them and stuff like that. And I'm gonna be honest, I've been there too. You know what I'm saying? I'll be honest, I've been there, and I'm still there. There's no such thing as completely healing yourself in this world. You only do a little bit better each time. The goal isn't to completely heal yourself, but the goal is to know what medicine to apply and when to apply it and how to apply it. That's what that's what spirituality, magic, and all that stuff all based down and boil down to. Knowing when and how. That's it. When to do it, how to do it. When to do it, how to do it. And that's basically it. But it's easier said than done. So now that you're calling in that new energy, to assist that energy in conjunction with that energy, you're going to do that waxing energy, that waxing, where you're going to call in the energy of the courage to see yourself in your true, authentic light. You see what I'm saying? That right there, that's the lunar healing work. Okay? Now, let's take I didn't do Pisces, did I? Yeah, let's do Pisces right quick. It ain't gonna take that long. Because we pretty much got the idea of it. So I'm gonna do waxing. I'm gonna do waning. I'm gonna do full. And then I'm gonna do new. I should have wrote it in the right order, but one. Let's see here. Full moon, 2 waning, and then 3, and then 4. Okay, yeah, I wrote it all in the wrong direction. I'm wrong way. All right, so with the full moon, with Pisces, let's say it's Pisces, right? It's Cancer season, which means it has to do with like the emotions, the household. So basically, All the energy that you call in is going to be curtailing to your emotional aspect, your feminine energy, your wounds and stuff like that, unhealed mother issues, your household. It has to, the house, all of that, right? Because essentially your body is your house. You know what I'm saying? So with the full moon, essentially this is how it goes with, Pisces and Cancer. Let's say, Pisces, moon, and Cancer. We know that the Pisces moon is essentially has to do with us, the subconscious self. It has to do with psychic abilities. It has to do with intuition. It has, you know what I'm saying? A lot of that kind of thing, right? So essentially what happens here with the Piscean energy is this. With the full moon, let's say, okay, we still got the same problem, the identity problem, right? So with the full moon, this is when you want to get to know yourself. You are releasing what you feel about yourself, what you feel to be true about you. The reason why you're releasing this is because a lot of us say, oh, I know me, I know that person, I know this, I know that. But the thing is, the part about wisdom is not knowing. All knowing is not knowing, because all truths are only partial truths. There's no 100% truth. Every truth has some aspect, has some gradient of lie, but not necessarily lie, but it has some degree or gradient of untruth in it, right? So in this aspect, we're releasing what we think we know about our emotions and how we are emotionally, our emotions. We are releasing what we believe to be true about the motherhood issue. We are releasing what we believe to be true about our feminine energy, about our household. We're releasing all of that, what we feel to be true. Everything we feel that to be true, we're releasing it. Why? It's because as you empty yourself of that wisdom, what happens is you're magnetized towards the truth of that wisdom. And what it does is it magnetically draw in different truths for you to take in consideration. Okay? So you'll see this perspective of the truth. And then once you release that, another perspective of the same truth is going to come to you. When it's the same truth but different perspectives, you know that's a truth that you can hold on to. It's got a different perspective. Now, if it's a lie, guess what's going to happen? It's going to go out, and then when it comes back, that perspective is going to be in conflict with the truth that you thought that you knew, or that you felt you knew. So we're going to release that, right? And then we have the waning moon, right? This is what we're going to gradually release. And we are going to gradually release with the moons, like our emotions towards that. We're going to gradually release our emotions towards that truth. Because the thing is that when a truth comes in, if we are I put it like this, when a truth comes in, if we're not emotionally grounded or not emotionally ready to receive it, we'll push it away. We'll destroy it. We'll take it and we'll throw it back out for it to say, okay, well, you called me. I didn't call you. You called me. And then guess what? Whatever trauma or wound persists after that. So after you get this waning, right? And then, this releasing of emotions, right? Like I say, you don't do it one day and then that's it. You don't do it every single day at a certain time, hour. You don't do that. You don't do that. You got 28 days to do it. You got 28 days, right? That's 7 days full, 7 days, or what, like 7 days with the waning, 7 waxing, 7 new moon. You see what I'm saying? It's a gradual release. The only major releases and major call-in is the full and the new moon. That's it. Everything else is gradual. The waning moon, you gradually releasing those emotions that's holding you back. You gradually releases those that whatever it is that you wanted to know the truth about. Because when that truth comes in, it may hurt your feelings. And when if that truth come in and it hurts your feelings, you're not going to be receptive to that truth. Which means what? You don't heal the wound, you walk away. It's kind of like if you go to the gym for the first time and you exercise super hard and you stretch or overstretch yourself. Now you got to recover, and while you're recovering, you're getting used to not going back to the gym, and eventually you're not there. You just stop going back to the gym. You see what I'm saying? So essentially, this is going to be your waning. You're just going to gradually release those emotions. Gradually release. Now, when it comes, now you're going to get to the new moon, right? With the new moon, basically you're going to call in with the new moon, we're going to call in the energy of, we're going to call in, originally I was going to say, like, you're going to call in your, you're going to pretty much just kind of like tap into your, like, psyche or your psyche, and you're gonna allow that energy to just come in, but you gotta be in a position to listen without judging that energy. Essentially is the vibe, but I don't really know how to like write that. It's kind of like you're just gonna allow the energy to come in so that you can listen to it without judging it. You know what I'm saying? It's not so much about embodying it, but it's more about allowing energy. That's what it is. Allowing truths to be expressed. Free of, our, I guess, our biased emotion. That's what you're gonna do. You're gonna call in the energy that allows you to see the truth, or you're gonna call in an energy to allow the truth to express itself without your biased emotions getting involved. You see what I'm saying? Because this truth is about you. It's about you. So nobody has to know you did the work. You can just do the work and then keep a journal on how it progresses. If it don't go the way you wanted it, you just change it. You see what I'm saying? You see how that works? And then with the waxing, you're gonna call in, this is a calling in energy, right? And of course my hands are ashy. You're gonna call in you're going to call in your emotional acceptance. And basically, every truth triggers an emotion in you. And instead of trying to do something about it immediately, you're accepting that is a trigger to you. You're accepting the trigger. Okay, you're accepting that. You're not saying that trigger is okay. You're just accepting the fact that it triggers you in some kind of way. Why? Because by the time you get to the waxing, guess what? It's a full moon again. Whatever triggered you is what you can start working on. You see what I'm saying? So that is in relative to the moon, right? So you got other energies out here that people like, in other advanced areas like to work on. So let's say in the solar system, we just use the moon as a reference, because essentially that's what that was. Anytime you hear lunar work, lunar work, solar work, earth magic, air magic, fire magic, whatever. Whenever you hear that kind of those terms, those are just references. That's it. References. That's it. In reference to the moon, which is in Leo, I did this, or I caught that in. In reference to fire, I'm using this aspect to do this. In reference of the earth, I'm using this to do that. So as you add it all together, guess what? You got your rotation, and you got your revolution, and you got a whole new planet, right? So let's say you got Saturn, right? We got Saturn out here, right? Saturn usually don't, well, yeah, Saturn does go into retrograde, right? So you do have, it does retrograde. So basically, let's look at the wound here. So this is going to be my wound, okay? So let's say we got Saturn in Libra, okay? Our Saturn is in Libra. And that's the lesson we got to learn, right? And you got, let's say we are going to do some healing work, right? Now with Saturn, if you're going to use that as a reference point, of course, I'm just gonna make it easy and make it simple. Saturn, it take about 2.5 years to go through each sign, right? That's why you hear like Saturn return. So Saturn retrogrades twice. It retrogrades in rotation, but it also retrogrades in revolution too. Because what happens is, well, sorta, I'll say sorta. Because what happens is Saturn, wherever Saturn is placed in your chart, you'll know when you're at the age of 27, 28, because you're going to start having a lot of, you're going to go through like some kind of spiritual, well, I call it spiritual warfare essentially, but it's not necessarily spiritual warfare. It's basically like it's like you're being initiated into the next level of life. That's like how Tupac was saying, like, you don't see any loudmouth people after 30 years old. That's because once you turn 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, you just went through this battle with Saturn. You just went through this battle with Saturn. Wherever Saturn is when you turn 27, 28, 29, is where it was when you were born. That's why they call it the Saturn return. Now, that 2.5 years, if your Saturn is in, let's say, I'm just gonna go down. I'm just gonna do what I need to do. Anyway, so 2.5 years, right? So that means Saturn is gonna go. It's gonna slow down. It's gonna go back, and then it's gonna go. It's gonna slow down. It's gonna go back, and then it's gonna go. And it's going to slow down, go back, and then it's going to go, and then it's going to go into the next sign, and then it's going to come back, and then it's going to take off. Which is really, it's messed up, but yo, that's what happened, right? So let's say you got a Saturn in Libra, right? So Saturn in Libra. When you have Saturn in Libra, essentially, let's say the karmic lesson that you need to learn has to do about being decisive. It has to do with, not being overly aggressive, not having your heart on your sleeve. And it also has to do with your relationships, essentially, right? It has to do with like how you like relate to other people, essentially, is what it's going to be, right? So in reference to that, let's say if we can put Saturn on a cycle, right? We need, when cycle, we're going to put it on a cycle. I don't even know. I didn't even rehearse this at all or whatever, right? So you got Saturn rising, you got Saturn resting, you got Saturn, I guess, fading, and then you got the detrimentation of Saturn, right? So let's say here with Libra, let's start with rising, right? Because usually this is like a one-shot thing. This is not like the moon where it just keep reoccurring, okay? So in this circumstance, I like to start where it's rising, okay? So as it's rising, this is what's going to happen here. You're going to start having problems with communications and stuff like that. So essentially what the work is going to be about when Saturn is rising, it's going to have to do a lot with your perspective. I mean, not necessarily just perspective, but it has to do a lot with your willingness to empty yourself, to sit down and listen to what it has to say. Okay? So those who don't sit down and listen to what Saturn have to say pay the price, a heavy toll. And you can ask anybody who's 29 or 30 right now about the last 2-3 years of their life, and they're going to tell you it was real effed up. You know what I'm saying? You can ask anybody right now who's about 50. Was it about 50, 28, 27, 27? That's about what, 30? No, that's about 50, 64? 64 years old? No, not 64. Where did I get that from? 54. About 54, 55-ish. Guess what they doing? They're going through that Saturn. That Saturn is tearing them up right now. Yep. 27, 28, 50, 54, 55, 56. Oh, yeah. They're getting hit. So, look. That Saturn go out, it's rising, right? It's coming through this energy, right? So, you're going to notice it with Libra when you start having difficulties with, let's say, balance. Balance in your relationships, balance with your friendships, balance in life. All these things are just going to start falling out of balance. And you know, Libra is a stasis-loving planet, although it is domineering, right? It's a domineering energy, but it's stasis-loving, which is why you have the scales, right? It oscillates from left to right for a reason. It really shouldn't be a scale. It should be more of, I'll get into that another day. Of course, my mind, it should be more like a chemical, like what is that, carbon with the 2 oxygen atoms, carbon dioxide, where it got, it just kind of like oscillate back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. That's Libra. That's what the scale is supposed to represent, a positive and negative aspect that is constantly trying to balance itself back out. You see what I'm saying? Or it can even be like positive, you in the middle, and then a positive on the end, and they're both pulling on you equally. And it's, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, a lot of things are going to come out of balance. So essentially with Saturn as a reference, the best thing you can do is the work for the Saturn rising for Libra, ideally, and it's going to be different for everybody because I'm just generalizing, but if I had to put it together, I would say something like it would be more about just give me a second. I'm trying to piece it together right quick. I can see different stuff, but I'm just trying to piece what I want to say together. And it's going to be about, let's say, you know what? The vibe that I'm getting here, it will be more about getting to know yourself. You know what I'm saying? So, it would be like a question. Who are you when the world is unfair? Saturn is going to come in the form of questions. Okay? And when everything is out of balance, who are you? Because you're used to everything being in control everything all up to this point. But then when it's rising, who are you when the world isn't fair? When it's unfair, who are you now? You see what I'm saying? And that's what the work is going to be surrounded around. Fairness, right? And it's not invoking fairness onto others, but it's soul searching. It will be more of a soul searching work in which you are to not necessarily do candle. I mean, you could do candle work or whatever. I'm not here to judge what you do, but it will be more like you are going to basically, because this Saturn is going to have you questioning everything, okay? So, and it's going to reveal a lot of painful truths to you. It's going to take you out of that cocksure world of yours. So basically it's going to pose that question of who are you when the world is unfair? Because, you know, you're basically in life, you know, the lesson that you might be here to learn is about fairness, right? So what happens when the world isn't fair to you? Of course, by nature, us Libras, they like to get down and try to balance it out by any means necessary, even if they have to do whatever. They're going to do that to try to, quote unquote, balance something out. But what if what you do to balance it out makes it uneven again? That's Saturn energy. That's Saturnalia. Next, we have rest. And now the question turns from who are you when the world is unfair? It's what are you going to do when the world is not fair? Now it wants to pay attention to your actions. At first, it was just a test. Now it's like, okay, so is that who you are? Right? Saturn is all about identity. It's all about who you are. As long as you're honest with yourself, or basically Saturn basically is going to keep putting you through the same test over and over and over again, because it basically is like when you die, it prepares you for death. When you die, you're going to go before a judge. You're going to, all your deeds, everything you ever thought, said, done, whatever, is going to be before you. Those are the people who are afraid or ashamed or scared of all this stuff being publicized and stuff that they had done in their life, stuff like that. People like that, it's going to create a negative energy on them, and it's definitely going to magnetize them to a lower realm. But those are the people who are able to accept themselves for who they are, know that they didn't do this, know, you know what I'm saying, that can accept themselves for who they are, and that are, you know, pretty much okay with what they did or what they said or whatever. Their energy isn't going to drop as bad. True enough, you're going to be judged off the deeds, but your energy level isn't going to drop so bad. You know what I'm saying? It's easier for you to be reformed. You see what I'm saying? The reason why it's easier for you to be reformed is because you know and you're aware, but you stay true to yourself. Which means by you being true to yourself, you may go to, you know, the underworld, but if you continue, but you're still being true to yourself even there, which means that, you know, for most people, it ain't as bad, you know, because they still stay true to themselves. That's just like heaven. Heaven can be underworld for some, and the underworld can be a heaven to some, because everything is in the mind, right? Everything is mentalism. So basically, Saturn wants to know, like, what are you going to do when the world is not fair? What are you going to do when you don't get what you truly deserve? How are you going to act? Like, what is it? And then you're going to act out, you're going to call yourself fighting against the world, and that's the secret. That's the kick right there. That's the trick that Saturn don't tell you. You cannot fight against the whole world. But you don't know that when you're 27 years old. You don't know that when you're 28 years old. You don't know that when you're 29 years old. You don't think about that when you're 54. You don't think about that when you're 55. You don't think about that when you're 56. You don't think about that. You can't beat the whole world. You can't do it. Right? Because you only have so much energy. So now, you got it fading away. Right? And the fading energy, it'll be more like how did this make you into a stronger person. Basically, now it turns to how, like, how did it make this, how did this make you into a stronger person? And most Libras say, because I quit messing with this person, I let that go, I did this. It forces you to learn a certain lesson. You know what I'm saying? Some people like to believe like this is like a past life lesson that you were supposed to learn that you didn't learn, or the reason why you incarnated here in the first place. That in your Chiron, right? So next we got detrimentation, right? So now the question is, we got the who, we got the what, we got the how. Because this detriment is essentially that energy, coming, revisiting your life in some aspect. Well, not necessarily revisiting, but, because it never left. But basically, it's in the energy of like, okay, now, that's it right there. Who are you when you think it's over? Who are you when you think it's over? Like, after all of this is done, who are you going to go to be? So yes, these are all philosophical questions, but you can curtail the work that you do around this kind of concept. For you, it'll be a different question. For you, it'll be something different. This is just an example, right? Because you're using the Saturn as, a reference versus using, what was that? The moon. So when you do your work, of course, you're gonna, let's say if you were gonna do, some kind of work or whatever, when it start coming in, and this is 2.5 years, okay? So you don't have to do it every single day. You don't have to do it every month. You could just, revisit this, or just, you know what I'm saying? But essentially, when you do this work, essentially, because the question is, who are you when the world isn't fair? This is a chance for you to dig deep and express your morals and values. It has to do with your morals and your values, okay? And it's gonna make you question a lot of stuff, okay? And don't get me wrong, with Saturn, you're gonna question a lot of stuff. But when you do your work, the whole goal, the overall goal that'll help you get through this, who are you when the world is unfair, is realizing that, you can't beat the whole world, essentially. And it's not just humility, but it's wisdom. That's wisdom that comes with age. As you get older, you know that you can't beat the whole world. Just because you're strong, when you start getting older, you get to your peak and you have all this strength, all this insane strength, right? But after a while, you learn how to get what you want without using so much strength, which becomes what? Wisdom. So it's about, and that's basically what the work and stuff is going to be about. This work is going to be about the morals and the values that you hold dear, and how you allow the world to influence or affect what you believe to be true about your own life, to guide you away from what you know to be right or whatever, or to keep your balance. It's gonna be a war against balance with communication, balance with decision making, that kind of vibe. Okay. Second, when the energy is resting. So let's say it's 2.5, right? 2.5 years. 2.5 years, let's say, is what? I guess I should break it down into weeks. Let's say weeks, right? You got 52 weeks, 52, and then a half, it's gonna be like 26. So that's what, 10, 12, 13, 130 weeks, right? You got 130 weeks. Then you're gonna divide that by 4. What's that? 3, 2, just 8, and then you got 2 more, 32.5, right? So like 32.5 weeks. That's a whole month. That's a month. No, wait, is that a month? No, that's like 3 months. There's got to be like about 3 months or something like that, right? Is it? I think that's about 3 months. 32 weeks. Let me see here. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. No, that's half a year. That's about half a year. Yep, that's a little bit over half the year. All right. So if you had to break this down, you got half a year. You got 6 months to, with this right here of Saturn asking you and challenging you through external forces and stuff like that of unfairness in the world, right? Now, who are you when the world isn't fair? That's 6 months. You got 6 months to figure that out, right? Then you got 6 months for what are you going to do about the world not being fair? You got 6 months of action. You know what I'm saying? 6 months, well, I'll put it like this. I ain't gonna say just sitting around and just thinking about it, but you got 6 months to come up with something that'll help you get through when the world isn't fair. And what are you gonna do about it? And then you got 6 months about how it can make you stronger, or how it made you stronger. That's a reflection. You're reflecting back. And then you're gonna think about in the last 6 months, you're gonna be thinking about, your life. Let me see. Who are you when you think it's over? Who are you when you think it's over? Like when you get out of this when you get out of this Saturn return or whatever, how do you plan to use the wisdom that you learned to move forward? Because like I say, in the last one, if your emotions are involved, it's going to be hard for you to see. If your mind is overthinking everything, it's going to be hard for you to accept, if there's any kind of imbalance, I'll put it like this, if there's too many extreme imbalances, then there's a chance that you'll miss the purpose of this lesson and you won't get rewarded. Okay? That's way over the time I decided to go. But yeah, like I say, when it comes to magic and astrology and stuff like that, everything is a reference point, especially if you're going to use magic in these terms, or for those who use like candlework, or if you're going to use seals and sigils, or if you're going to use runes, or if you're going to use the number squares, or if you're going to use mathematics, like arithmetic. I like arithmetic better because arithmetic is, all right. I love y'all all. Y'all take it easy. Take what you need and leave the rest. Don't even worry about it. If it's too long, whatever, cool. This video is not designed for you to compress everything. It's only a reference. So if you ever need this again, you know where to find it. All right. Love y'all all. Peace.